What is up, my YouTube family? It is Brittney Morticia Adams Vaughn back with another video. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, then it's just welcome to my channel. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed unless your taste level is lacking. If that's the case, then we don't judge here. Everybody has a place in the world. Today's video, as you can see by the title, is going to be another urban legend. You guys love these. I think that's like the second most liked thing we got going on over here. Y'all really like the urban legend. And they're real cute, so they are not going anywhere. And today's urban legend is the well-known haunting of Lanier Lake. Now, I'm almost certain, especially if you're from the US, that you have heard its infamous name and may also be familiar with at least one of the many eerie occurrences that have taken place down to this lake. And if you have not, it is this lake over here in Georgia that is said to be cursed and haunted, and a string of strange deaths and accidents have occurred here on this lake. Now, for me personally, the accidents are not the most unsettling thing about Lake Lanier. It's the fact that there is an entire town and full-grown trees underneath this lake. That is creepy to me. I don't know why I find that to be so unsettling to my little spirit, but it is. And it always has been. Now, despite its reputation and many accidental drownings, whether it's the locals or out-of-towners seeking a thrill, it remains a very popular vacation spot for fishing, swimming, boating, tanning, just all of the things you would do around water, right? Better than me, child, because Lake Lanier won't taste my pinky toe. And we're about to get into all of the reasons why. So without further ado, let's get into the urban legend of the haunted Lake Lanier. Now, it is located in North Georgia between Gainesville and Beaufort, and it is actually a man-made lake named after poet and Army vet Sidney Lanier. But let's back up just a little bit prior to its being built. Before its completion in 1956, several small towns occupied the land that it now covers. This land was owned by farmers who relied solely on their harvest to support their families. And although it's several of these towns, only one of them is known today by name, which is Oscarville. The others have completely been erased from history. Which, speaking of history, Oscarville has a horrible little history of its own. These agricultural towns managed to survive a boll weevil infestation that had taken over most of Georgia, causing many farmers to lose large percentages of their harvest. And Oscarville and these little surrounding towns had also survived the Great Depression, which we all know what that gave. However, Atlanta's little mayor at the time, Mayor William B. Hartsfield, had plans to propel Atlanta into the new age by expanding the city and minimizing urban areas that surrounds it. And as Atlanta grows, so does its need for power, water, and to diminish the floods that are plaguing the city from the Little Chattahoochee River. So in April of 1947, the Industrial Bureau meets with the Chamber of Commerce to go over their ideas and options as to how, to remedy these issues. Well, in said meeting, they agreed to greenlight a $1 billion proposal to their flood problem, the construction of a dam that will surely provide more resources to Atlanta. The only problem is, the only way that this could be done is that those people who occupy the land of Oscarville and those surrounding towns would have to forfeit or sell their land, the very land that they rely on to feed their families. And many of them are not at all open or interested in selling the land. It was an entire 2-year process seizing the land from the residents who would not agree to their bribes or their offers or their threats. And in the end, the last of the remaining residents who stuck to their guns were left with no other choice but to evacuate the town, with the majority of everyone else already agreeing to sell their land and the state owning most of the land surrounding them. Now, I also saw some articles said that they were forcefully removed, so I don't know if they went in and dragged them or if they just gave them eviction notices. However it went down, it was not voluntary. The actual building of the dam in the Little River takes an additional 4 years to complete, and finally in 1959, the infamous Lanier Lake is born, sitting right on top of the ghost town of Oscarville, Georgia, and of course the other few little towns that have since lost their name. Now, many Georgians find Lake Lanier's position above several old towns and the history of the lake's construction to blame for many of its visitors' strange deaths that have taken place there since, especially considering the fact that many of the grave sites were not so carefully dug up during the process. While some just believe that the whispers of ghosts and curses are just campfire stories and, a bunch of hoopla. But let's get into it and we're going to see what you believe. Because over the years, over 500 people have entered the waters of Lake Lanier without surfacing. Now, some have been retrieved from the lake after an extensive search, but many of them have not. This lake measures at about 200 feet deep at some spots, and things such as cars, grave sites, churches, homes, and a lot of buildings and structures shorter than 35 feet remain at the bottom of this lake in a decomposing state. It was easier and cheaper to just leave them intact to rot underneath the water than deconstruct them all and clear all of the debris from where they plan to, drop all of that water. And in some areas of the lake, there are underwater forests with trees as tall as 60 feet that rest at the bottom of the lake, all of which have made it extremely difficult to dredge Lake Lanier of bodies once they go under the water and do not resurface. And since its construction in 1959, it has quickly become one of the deadliest lakes in all of the U.S., with an unusual number of fatalities occurring right there in the water. Boats have reportedly capsized after hitting something in the water, according to the survivors. But when that particular area of the water is later searched for those who may not have made it, it would be nothing in that area of water that could have grazed against a boat and caused it to flip. There have been reports of cars sliding off the road and into the water seemingly for no reason at all. Random rogue waves forming out of nowhere and causing very experienced swimmers to drown. In fact, most of the people who have been victims of Lake Lanier are people who were considered to be experienced, strong swimmers. And many of those who have experienced drowning in Lake Lanier but survived have reported the feeling of being dragged beneath the water by invisible hands. One of the first and most infamous tragedies that have taken place at Lake Lanier is that of Susie Roberts and Delia Mae Parker Young in April of 1958. Now, they were allegedly fleeing a nearby gas station without paying and heading to a local roadhouse, but unfortunately they never make it. As soon as they get on the bridge to cross Lake Lanier, Susie suddenly loses control of her car and it spins off the road and into the lake. Now, of course, people see it, they call for help, and a search party of divers scour the lake in search of the two women, but neither the car nor the women are discovered. In fact, it was as if nothing had occurred at all aside from the tire marks that led up to the water. Literally, there was no sight of anything else. Then 18 months later, a fisherman is out at the lake when he spots the body of a woman floating in the water, severely bloated, highly decomposed, and missing both hands and missing both toes. It is very difficult to determine whether the remains belong to Delia or Susie, but they are for certain that they in fact belong to one of the two women. Now, the people around town claim to know for sure without a shadow of a doubt which woman it was, because since the two women's accidents, dozens of drivers that took the route near the lake claimed to have seen her after the unsuccessful searches as a handless, ghostly figure roaming the road at night in a blue dress. Now, according to them, she'd appear to be lost and in search of something. And as the years go on and more incidents occur on the lake, the story of Delia and her alleged ghost sightings birthed the urban legend of the Lady of Lake Lanier, and people claiming that she is solely to blame blame for all of the tragedies that had happened following hers, and that her missing hands, child, are the ones that people feel tugging them underwater. As the popularity of the legend of the Lady of Lake Lanier grows, generations of high schoolers would use Lake Lanier as sort of a rite of passage by going down to the lake late at night to search for the Lady of the Lake, out there roaming handless. And as the years go on, this urban legend takes on sort of a life of its own, causing Delia to become somewhat of a little celebrity, like infamous almost. And poor Susie Roberts is just seemingly forgotten about. Now, 31 years later, the city decides to do a little bit of construction down at Lake Lanier. They need to set foundation underneath the water to build pillars for a new bridge. Now, in order to do so, that portion of the lake needed to be cleared of the underwater structures. And in doing so, the crew makes a shocking discovery. The shell of a rusted 1954 Ford rests at the bottom of the lake with human remains still inside, sitting behind the wheel. Personal belongings found inside of the vehicle suggest that the identity of this woman is Susie Roberts, who was never found. For over 3 decades, she was there trapped in her car, stuck between trees and beneath nearly 100 feet of water. Now, this discovery finally confirms that the first woman that was found was in fact Delia. And for some people, it also confirmed that the people were telling the truth about seeing her. And Delia actually is not the only apparition reportedly seen haunting Lake Lanier. There have also been many reports seeing a raft floating on the lake really late at night, occupied by a shadowy figure that is impossible to see clearly in the dark. But you can see that it is paddling with what appears to be a large stick or a long pole, and also holding a small lantern, lighting its path but not providing enough light for you to be able to see him clearly. So these people don't know what it is, but they don't trust it. And here's why. The raft reportedly appears out of nowhere. Then it allegedly just disappears right before people's eyes. Now, there were these 2 fishermen who were out there on the lake at around 1 a.m. doing a little late night fishing, and they claim to have had a frightening encounter with whatever it is. Now, according to them, they were there minding their business when suddenly, out of nowhere, the raft appears there in the water with whatever occupied it pushing it along. Now, initially, they don't take their eyes off of it because it's odd, right? It just appeared out of nowhere. And they're also trying to get a glimpse of who or what it actually is, when suddenly this shadowy figure jumps into the ice cold water. And at this point, they are terrified that whatever it is might be traveling toward them underwater. So they pull all of their little lines up and get ready to flee the premises. But before they leave, they turn around and shine their little light toward the water, I guess to make sure, sis wasn't coming up out of the water like Pamela Anderson from Baywatch. But when they do, there is no sign of any creature or any person or the raft. In fact, the water was still and calm, as if nothing at all had ever disturbed it or touched it. Christmas Day of 1964, 2 families who lived in Gainesville decided to spend the holidays together. At around 1 p.m., they all decide to pile up in a vehicle and go visit an orchard. And to get to the orchard, they have to travel across the bridge that oversees Lake Lanier. Unfortunately, once they get onto the bridge, the driver loses control of the vehicle. It clips the guardrail and hits a power pole so hard that it snaps it in half, and the vehicle goes right into the lake. Now, several bystanders immediately jump into the freezing water to try to help, and divers from the local fire department also show up rather quickly, but they report zero visibility of the vehicle or any of its 11 occupants. They continue their search efforts for hours, and in the end, all that are retrieved are the ones that float to the surface on their own. 2 adults and 2 children, unfortunately, are the only ones who survive survived this ordeal. The others, nor the vehicle itself, have ever been recovered. Now, it's obvious that the vehicle is resting somewhere at the bottom of the lake, but they have not been able to locate it. Now, among the many tragedies that have unfolded at this infamous lake is the very unfortunate jet ski accident that claimed the life of 11-year-old Kyle Glover, which is the son of Usher's ex-wife, Tamika Raymond, and this happened in 2012. And just last year in April, 24-year-old basketball player Dorian Pinson was out on Lake Lanier on a boat with 2 other people when the boat capsizes, sending the 3 of them into the water. And due to the wind, none of them were able to make it back onto the boat. Now, a boat that was not too far from them and was headed that way rides up and is able to rescue 2 of them. However, Dorian had gone under and not resurfaced. For 5 days, divers cover over 300 acres searching for Dorian, but they are unable to locate him. And after they are unsuccessful in locating him, the family solicits the help of a private dive team that specializes in locating hard-to-find drowning victims. And finally, 86 days after he initially goes missing, he is located and retrieved from Lake Lanier by this independent dive team. And speaking of dive team, there have been many divers who have claimed to have gone under and witnessed huge catfish feasting on human body parts. And we all know catfish will eat anything, child. Despite all of this, people continue to go there to vacation and do all of the things. And I'm just like, girl, why? On average, we have consistently lost between 11 and 20 people per year since Miss Mama's has been open and up and running. And that might not sound like a whole lot, but that is almost 2 people per month. So it really is. Now, to be completely fair, I do have to mention that some of these are instances where people have gone down to the lake and, ended their own lives. But most of them are, in fact, freak accidents. Now, it has been said by the people who believe that Lake Lanier is haunted and up to no good, also believe that because of the amount of people who are in the lake and have never been found, they believe that the souls of the unfound are still moving beneath the surface of the water because no one has been able to lay them to rest. So they are just there, moving about underneath the water in and around Lake Lanier. And that until someone finds them, it's a good chance that they just might find you first, which is not a good thing. Atlanta people, y'all been down to Lake Lanier? Do you believe that it's haunted? I want to know, locals. Let me know. Honestly, I'd always known about like the trees being underneath the water, and that little fact has always been unsettling to my little spirit child. But I never knew why, like all the trees and stuff were down there. But even knowing why, it's still really creepy. Would you be scared to go down there and stick your big toe in Lake Lanier? I'm not playing with sis. I don't play with nature like that. Y'all saw what happened when I went to Hawaii, girl. A giant green sea turtle rolled up on me in the ocean. I don't play them little reindeer games, baby. Truth is, I be wanting to feel like I'm a nature girl, but we know I'm scared. And it sounds like sis does not want to be bothered, and so I'm just gonna let her have that, honey. She does not have to worry about me. She does not have to worry about me. I have already been almost taken out the game by a jellyfish and now a sea turtle. I don't want none of what Miss Thing got to offer down there to Lake Lanier, okay? No, thank you. All right, so that pretty much concludes today's video in this look, y'all. I got off camera right quick to finish up my makeup because I should have been moving a lot faster throughout the story with the makeup, and I was not, obviously. But my foundation routine is pretty much the same as it always is. I didn't do anything different, and I really like this eye look. Now, when I went to the bathroom to view her a little closer, I said it's a couple of things that I want to do differently when I do her again, like on my free time. And so yeah, I cannot wait. But she cute or whatever. Y'all let me know what your thoughts are about Lake Lanier though, especially if you've been or if you had an experience. I'm gonna have to live vicariously through y'all because I ain't taking my behind down there for sure. But anywho, like the video if you have not. Share this video with a friend or to your social media, or do both. We are trying to get to 200K, y'all. We are this close and I need y'all's help. And as always, I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. That is not what I was planning to say today. Kirk. Child, I am out of bottled water. The filter on my refrigerator needs changing, so we're not gonna trust that. I wonder if sparkling water counts as part of your water intake for the day. I feel like it should. Before its completion in 1999 to 99. What? More research that will provide more resources. What? And in the end, the town's history. And since it's there, Houston is so ghetto. Like, why are the police always interrupting me when I film? Well, damn, something might be on fire. Nah, it's just everything. It's a damn train. It's the police, girl. It is an ambulance. An ice cream truck. The shell of a 1950. Oh no, wrong eye. Then it allegedly just. Now, according to them, they were the what? Got me running out of this foundation as soon as I done put some on my forehead, Lord. So I'm about to proceed with this Fenty and just hope for the best. Yep, that's done. Oh no. I always get something in my damn hair. Take the wheel, Jesus. I know you're tired of me, but please. That giant what is it called?